friends, guys and gals, pipe smoking comrades. How are you guys doing today? Today is Tuesday, November the 25th. Since I've retired, I've not kept up with the date all that great. But anyway, it's Thursday. It's a Tuesday in November. I guess it'd be the third Tuesday. I can't even say that with certainty because I don't have a calendar in front of me, but that would make sense, I think. Yeah, it's after the 21st, so it would have to be the third week in November. Anyway, I'm headed to get a haircut, but got a few minutes here. Thought I'd just say hi. I did a video this morning, or I published a video. That was from about a week ago when I drove up to the National Cemetery, and I'd had that on my phone for a while and decided to go ahead and publish that, put that out there. So anyway, yeah, it was about a little less than a week ago. So the reason that I went to Tehachapi in the first place was that over the previous weekend, that Sunday, my wife had noticed on the newspaper a classified ad, and it had a picture of a little red convertible in there. She jokingly said, "Oh, look, here's something for you." And she showed it to me, and I looked at it, and it was a 1991 Mercury Capri, turbocharged, 4-cylinder turbocharged, whatever that means. And it said new paint, new tires, new battery, all this new stuff, and the guy wanted $5,000 for it. And well, kind of piqued my interest. And since I sold my little Mazda, I wanted another little convertible. Of course, that was I believe that's a 2018 Mazda, 2018. Yeah, when I got that. So it's been a few years ago, but it was brand spanking new. The best little car ever. Anyway, I won't go into that again. I may have to shed a few tears if I talk too much about that. But anyway, I saw this little red convertible and I thought, what if that could be my next little toy, So I called the gentleman and spoke with him right away on the phone, which surprised my wife. She was just joking. She didn't think I'd really buy it. But anyway, I called the man up. He talked to me. He was an 85-year-old gentleman, lived up in Tehachapi, which is about 45 minutes from town, maybe an hour if you're driving slowly or get stuck behind trucks. But anyway, he talked to me, explained that he had spent about $13,000 in the car. He's had it for a long time. I guess since the late 90s, actually. About 30 years, he said. So, explained to me how special it was to him and how he's been waiting for the right person to call. Anyway, so he seemed like a really nice old guy. So he said, well, let's get you up here to see it. So we decided that Wednesday would be a good day. One of the only days that it wasn't supposed to rain last week. So sounded good. So last Wednesday morning, I got things together and went up there, and that's when I stopped by the I think I stopped by the cemetery, I guess, on the way home. But anyway, on the way up there, I just went directly to their house, saw the car. It's been in the garage. He's never driven it. He drove it in the rain one time in the last 30 years, and basically just lives in his garage. So had an excellent, brand new paint job and all that, and really nice little car. So I met him and his wife Patty. They're both very nice. He explained that he had been he and his wife had an insurance office in Los Angeles for years, and they found this property up in Tehachapi, Cummings Valley. They bought a 60-acre, basically an old farm with a Victorian house on it, and they decided to do a wine, plant wine grapes, and had a big wine company. Anyway, he had a lot of history, neat stuff. But we took the car for a drive, and it handled really a lot like my Mazda did. I mean, this thing was smooth running, and everything seemed really nice. So we got back, and he checked the blinkers, parking brakes, and all, or the brakes and all this sort of thing, and so everything was good. And he told me about a couple little things the car had wrong. I asked, he said it was 90% done with the restoration process, and I asked him, what else needs to be done? What would that 10% be? And he said, well, I'd probably go through the electrical and have it double checked, So I thought, well, that sounds reasonable. So, but one thing that he mentioned was on the dashboard, there was a flashing light. Luckily, it wasn't the check engine light, but it was the airbag light. And he said, I don't know if it's a sensor or what. And, I thought, well, that's probably not too big of a deal. So I would have liked to have taken my wife with me, but she was working. Again, it was Wednesday, and I couldn't do it. So we went in the house and talked. He said, well, what's your offer? And me, being the lame brain that I am, decided to say, well, I'm happy to give you the $5,000 that you're asking. Big mistake, only because really I probably could have gotten it for less, but that's just me. I've got this terrible thing where you don't want to insult anyone by offering too little, so what do I just threw the whole thing away and said, oh, I'll give you $5,000 for it. Exactly. Actually, that's $5 more than what he was asking, or $1 more. He was asking $49.99. So, why not just round it to $5,000, right? So, I mean, what harm could that cause? So, after I looked at the car, drove it around, talked to him and his wife, I said, well, I'd like to buy it, which I wasn't really supposed to. I told Amy when I went up there, I'm not going to do anything today. I'm going to go up and look at it, and then if it's something I like, then we can go up there and look at it together. Well, no, that would be too simple and make too much sense. I decided, it's something funny. I decided that, I'm going to have to pause this for a second. Sorry, I had to pull over there for a minute. I got a text message. It's a long story, but I had to stop my recording and verify something before I went on. Anyway, like I was saying, no, I had to go ahead and agree to pay the man $5,000, and, great, everything was good. He asked if I had any questions. My reply was, I can't think of anything, So went home, started kind of feeling, having some buyer's remorse, because we'd shaken on it. Of course, he shook my hand, and, he has a little 85-year-old man and his sweet wife, and you think, what could be wrong with this whole thing? So went home that night, told Amy. She wasn't terribly happy with my decision. I'd actually given the guy a check. I had a check with me because I thought, well, I guess I could pay him. And I don't know why I thought that I had to pay him that day, but maybe to hold the deal so someone else wouldn't come and swipe, the deal up. So I paid him, and he, I already gave him the check and all that. He said, well, you can take the car home tonight and just come back for the other car. I thought, well, that probably wouldn't be the best idea. So I took our Prius back home with the thought of going up to the next day. And I wasn't sure how to get up there. I thought, well, I'll have to, rent a car and get an Uber from their house to the rental place of their house. Anyway, his wife sent me a text and said, let's do this. I have to come down for a doctor's appointment tomorrow, which would be on Thursday, and we'll just pick you up and take you home, and you can drive it back. So I thought, oh, that sounds good. So let me light this again. So the deal was, her appointment was 11 o'clock. They're going to pick me up at noon. I thought, that's good. They'll give me an hour there, maybe an hour to drive back home, and I've got an hour till to pick up Amy, so it'll be good. So long story short, they're going to run some errands after this doctor's appointment. Well, I got a message from them saying, well, it might be closer to 1 o'clock because we're still at the doctors and all this stuff. Well, they finally sent me a text at 2:30 and said, we're on our way. And I thought, well, that's not good because I'm supposed to pick up Amy at 3 o'clock, and I hadn't really figured out how to get her picked up. So I checked with them. They said, hey, we can go by, you can pick you up first, go by and pick up your wife, and we'll take you both home. You can drive it back. So I thought, oh, that's perfect. So we did that. We went through the drive up, which was kind of awkward. I mean, they're really nice people, but the husband, he was talking so low that I could not hear him, and he kept talking to me, and I was straining. You know how exhausting it is to try to listen to someone and they're talking so low that you can't hear them? Oh my gosh. So spent about an hour doing that. Got back to their house. They showed us all their old pictures and talked to us. I did all the paperwork. We sat there and finally said, okay, well, we better let you guys get home. It's getting dark, which it was by that time. It was probably 4:30 or so by that time. Sorry. So we got in the car, started up, said our goodbyes. He gave me a big old hug. like face-to-face hug. I mean, he was really sad to get rid of his car. He was, you could tell he was emotionally moved. So we get in the car and we start home, and as we get close to the freeway, it's almost dark by that time, and because the traffic was really at a standstill. So we decided we'd get something to eat real quick and let the traffic clear and then get back on. So we went, got something to eat, and realized that the freeway was still blocked. So there's an alternate route down to Bakersfield, or down to Keene, which is another little city, a little town, kind of halfway between Bakersfield and Tehachapi. So we went down this road, this winding road. It started raining, and it was dark by that time. I turned the lights on, realized that the dashboard lights were not working, so the instrument panel was completely black. So I had no idea where the controls were at. We turned the heater on because it was cold, blew cold air. We thought, he told me, so, well, the AC works really well, but the heater's going to take a while to heat up, so I expected that. So we're driving down this dark, desolate, rainy road with curves, and the cab of the car is completely black. There's nothing at all lighting up. So, and the air's so cold, so we're going down. Cars are coming up kind of close behind us, making us both kind of worry. And anyway, after about an hour or so, we finally got home. The lights and the dashboard came on about 5 minutes before we got home, but it still never blew anything but ice cold air. So my wife was frozen. Got home. I kind of thought by that time, well, I hope this is okay, because, oh, and I couldn't get our passenger window down either. So we got a window that wouldn't go down and a panel that wouldn't light up, So I was kind of feeling a little worried at that time. Well, this is a long story. I'm sorry. I went out the next day. I guess it was on Saturday. I took it out, took the top off, drove it. It was wonderful. I had a lot of fun. I drove for about an hour down an old country highway and stuff, and even convinced my wife to go with me that day, even though it was kind of cold outside. I took the top off, so we went for a little cruise, this little spin. She loved it. It was fun. That night we went to a birthday party, and basically on the way home, my son-in-law sent me a text and said, "You guys are completely dark. You've got no lights in the back at all." So come to find out, we drove down that little mountain road in the rain with no taillights at all, and only one brake light apparently. So by that time, I'm starting to not like the car as much. But I got a problem because I've shaken on it. I've paid $5,000. The check has been cashed. By the end of that evening, I was feeling a little bit deceived. So I went to bed. Before I went to bed, I wrote a note and said, I'm sorry, there are all these things that happened with the car, and basically I'm really bothered because we drove home without tail lights and through the mountains on a curvy road in the rain, and now I find out that the heater's not working and the tail lights, like I said, are out. The brake lights, one of those works, and I said, if I could, I'd love to get my $5,000 back, but if that's probably not possible. And anyway, and then I went to bed and I started worrying and feeling bad about, well, maybe he didn't know all this stuff was wrong with the car and all this. So got up in the morning, wrote a note and said, I'm sorry about the text last night. I guess it'll all be fine. And he wrote me back and said, oh, the car, those are all easy fixes. The car is meant for you. God bless. And I said, yeah, I'm sure I'll figure it out. Have a happy Thanksgiving. Smiley face. And that's where it stands. So I wanted to tell you that little story. Even at my old age of 62, you can still be a dummy and let people, whether or not he knew all this stuff was going on. I like to think that he didn't. And his wife, they say, well, make sure you text us when we get home, make sure you get there safely. And once you guys come up in the future, and we'll take you to the old winery that we owned. And we told them we don't really drink wine, but they said, oh, we'll introduce you and show you all about it and show you around. And, they're really nice people. So it's kind of tough. I don't know. Anyway, that's my story. And I hope the car does okay. It's fun, but I'm not driving it right now because In the weather right now, it's kind of dark outside, and I still need, brake lights. The local police frown upon you driving around with no brake lights, and in this weather, you need tail lights and headlights as well. So I'm in the Prius waiting to get my hair cut. Barber was supposed to be here, but apparently he had to go run errands, so I'm sitting out here. I'm going to do a couple of my Psalms videos and hope that my attitude gets better. Well, thanks for watching this. Hopefully it wasn't too boring, but I'll talk to y'all later. And if I don't see you between now and Thanksgiving, please have a happy Thanksgiving. God bless y'all.